application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our cares team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. What's happening? Welcome to greencardguys.tv. I'm your host, John Ting. I practice immigration law in the United States with a physical office in Houston, Texas. How about it? Okay. We're here to share with you that we have success stories. We're able to help people secure their legal status to live and work in America legally. And yes, most people in America gotta work. Okay. I think you know this. To make ends meet in America, you gotta work. You want to live somewhere in America, you gotta pay for it. I know this sounds silly, but some folks can act like a retired life in another country. But unfortunately, America, everything freaking costs money. I guess unless you have your own farm or something to grow eggs or something like that. But in all seriousness, you need the work permit. Okay. You might know this already. If you want to save money to pay for your kids' tuition in the future, to pay for your car, to pay for gas, you need a work permit. So for us, it would be our pleasure to assist you or your spouse or your family member, or if you have a company, happy to assist you to getting your legal status as smooth as possible. Okay, we cannot guarantee that USCIS is gonna get it done quickly for you. We don't control the government, but here I'm going to share some tips today on how to try your best as possible to speed up your own I-130 family petition process and possibly avoid some delays. Of course, cannot guarantee that for you. Okay, so if you enjoy some tips like this, go ahead and give us a follow on your respective platform. Greatly appreciate it. I do try my best to go live Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time. Sometimes I can't make it at all on that day because of team meetings or certain meetings with vendors, things like that. Most of my time is spent sharing information with you, sharing knowledge here on the live show, and also managing my team. All right, so I do review cases. Okay. But I do have associate attorneys that can help you answer your legal questions as well if I'm not able to answer that here. So in the meantime, if you do already know you want our services, you are interested in our services, go ahead on your respective platform. If you click the profile link, or just go ahead and follow for now so you don't forget, because I know how it works, this live feed thing. So go ahead and give it a follow, and then you can go to the profile page later or about page and click. There's a link right below it. It starts with ZAAP.bio. That's my link. You'll know it's our profile here at Green Card Guys TV. All right. So we want to make sure we can help you out, because now some of you might think, well, I'm just not ready. I don't know. I'm not ready. I get it. It can happen. You might have that thought. Okay. Or you already filed your case. But let's say you have a situation that's a request for evidence, RFE, or an NOID. You don't want to wait until you actually receive that document and then have to scramble to find a lawyer or law firm that you can trust. Okay? Because I totally get it. I completely understand that trust is very important in our field, because for me, our team, we hear a lot of bad stories from licensed attorneys as well, from notaries, from immigration consultants. You might even be an immigration consultant watching me live right now. So I know you got to make money. I get it. But licensed attorneys can help you, that have a workflow that can help you get this done the right way, as smoothly as possible. Okay. Before I answer some questions, I'm going to go through the topic of the day, of course, for a couple minutes. But go ahead. In the meantime, you're welcome to ask a question in the meantime, and I'll get to that as soon as possible. Okay. So, how to speed up your I-130 petition. Let's say you filed it already. So, a couple different scenarios, right? Let's say you filed it already. Maybe you have a pretty good feeling you didn't have everything that you could have provided at the time of filing. And I'm talking about I-130 only. I'm not necessarily talking about the 485 application, but some of these tips could be applicable to both scenarios. Okay, but let's just say the I-130. Okay, this is what we do. So I'm giving you some secrets right here. Okay, so internally, what we do is we look at um, the Department of State's reciprocity chart. Okay, because just because a certain country has you can get a birth certificate from that certain country, the U.S. government does not recognize all birth certificates from another country. Even in America, we've had situations where we helped a client that already filed on their own, and USCIS accepted the birth certificate. And I'm not sharing names, so it's okay for me to share this, and nothing confidential. But then when it got to the Department of State for the visa interview, those officers had a problem with the birth certificate. They were able to catch the issue, okay? And of course, at first glance, you're like, what the hell is the government talking about? But upon further investigation and cross-referencing with the Department of State's chart on what they accept as a birth certificate from certain countries, it unfortunately was not acceptable document to be as evidence as birth. Weird, right? Because it already went through step one of the petition, and then sure enough, at the visa interview, then they reviewed it and said, "Mm-mm, not going to pass through." And it has nothing to do about the beneficiary. It has nothing to do about the applicant. Yet they got stopped. They got put in a situation of 221G administrative processing. They needed another document to prove birth certificate. So I'll give you an example. And so in this situation, this is actually the US citizen's birth certificate. Most of the time, it's to check the chart for the beneficiary, the immigrant, the foreign national. But this time, it was a US citizen. And it turns out on the bottom of the document, the certificate, it was signed by a judge. So I don't know of current situations where a judge can sign it, but in Texas, for example, the birth certificate has to be issued by the Bureau of Vital Statistics Department, okay, in Austin, Texas. All right. That is the best proof of birth, or one of the, um, not necessarily birth, but one of the proof evidence of U.S. citizenship. Okay. Other proof would be a U.S. passport. Now, in this situation, the client didn't have a U.S. passport. So, of course, we encouraged and assisted, guided this client to apply for the U.S. passport, because you might think like, well, why? How come this person didn't apply? The person tried. We were thinking creatively outside the box. We don't just follow the government checklist only. We think outside the box to encourage people, clients, to advocate through our help or themselves to obtain that US passport, because that's the other best way to show proof as a US citizen. And of course, well, unfortunately, not of course, unfortunately, that person got the runaround by the, what do you call it, the passport office personnel or representative. And with her encouragement, she was able to get that US passport. So that's just one example, okay, where an attorney can help. It's not, tell you the truth, this is nothing we learn in law school, but what we learn is how to advocate for a client. Okay, that's the most important for your best interest. All right. So, how does that come full circle for y'all to speed up your case? Because USCIS could have sent it RFE, could have delayed the case because you didn't have proper documentation showing either the relationship, let's say the marriage certificate, or the birth certificate. And so this doesn't apply only for spousal cases. People are married or fiance, engaged. This also includes people who are filing any family petition, okay? Because it could have been, we've helped people who have a birth certificate that was a case based on their parent filing for them or their adult child filing for them. And they've ran into a situation about the birth certificate. So this is applicable to many other situations, not just for married folks. Okay. Um, so a lot of people delay their situation on their filing of their case, and they should not have. Okay, really. But if you're going to delay, maybe unintentionally, The thing is, you need to switch your mindset to think more proactively. And that's okay. It's okay if you don't, but that's where we can help, okay? Because we have a strategy plan, we have an action plan for our clients. Although we do have three service levels, max plan, we file your case in 30 days. Actually, a decent amount of clients are like, I actually need more time. And we're not trying to rush y'all. It's more about us being intentional about how timely we're going to commit to filing a case. If you need more time, that's absolutely understandable. Okay, so again, if you're in a situation you already filed your case, but you're like, wait a second, John's saying something very important. Go ahead, check at hopefully you scanned your package, whatever you filed to USCIS. Take a look at it again and make sure that it complies with the reciprocity chart. Or if you're born in the US and you want to make sure your own birth certificate, make sure it's issued by the proper department, okay? And not signed by a judge. You just don't want to run into problems in the future. So this is a good example of why it may seem silly, but when you file your birth certificate or your package with your birth certificate, but you're wondering why in the next phase, if you're one of your loved ones is abroad or family member outside of US, you're like, why do I have to submit the birth certificate again? This is probably why. Okay. That's like a double verification process. Now, if you were to file your case and it's a petition already and it's been more than a year, okay, then you definitely want to consider expedite request, but it's not for every person. It depends on your situation. Okay. You can't just, unfortunately, I mean, we have tried this. And unfortunately, even just saying that one person is pregnant, that alone is not going to allow USCIS to grant, not approve, but grant your expedite request. Please remember that this expedite request was created because of the pandemic. So at least they were had a little of a human heart there, compassion to create this expedite request. But now it's a couple years after the pandemic. I mean, some states in America, like Texas, acted as if there was no pandemic. To each their own. But at this point, the pandemic's over. CDC, executive branch of the government, the president's administration across the world, there is no more pandemic. So with that being said, not to burst your bubble here or anything, but don't get too frustrated if they don't grant your expedite request. First of all, again, number one, there's limited reasons that you can even possibly expect more of a grant of an expedite request. So if there's so for example, if there's a pregnancy plus a medical complication related to pregnancy, or maybe medical complication in general, um, that's definitely a reason to try the expedite request. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay, when you're a client with us, Team Law Group, we don't charge extra for it. But if you file your case yourself, USCIS is not going to charge you money for it, so it doesn't hurt to try. But I'm just sharing with you more about the expectations about that, right? Because a lot of y'all ask like, "Oh, how soon?" I submitted an expedite request. I called in. How soon will I find out? It could be a week, could be 30 days. Um, in our experience, they do tend to let you know sooner than later. They don't usually. It doesn't appear they wait more than 30 days to let you know. Okay. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Now, if your case, with that being said, but let's say your petition already been filed, and like John, holy hell, it's been 18 months. It doesn't, there are delays on that for a long time. Can happen. Doesn't happen for everyone. Thank goodness, right? But it can happen. So if it's been 18 months and you file a petition, you definitely want to get in touch with us because we can file a lawsuit for the unreasonable delay. Now, maybe you filed 4 months ago. You're like, man, John, I think that's unreasonable delay. Well, unfortunately, to the government, U.S. attorneys, 4 months is not long enough. Okay, so we do have a chart internally. Okay, where our team is not making things up. They look at my chart that I prepared based on our experience, on ongoing experience that we're gaining to help you out. Because we're not like any other attorney will say, look, it's been 2 months. Sure, we'll file a lawsuit for you. No, we're not about that. We want to make sure, based on our chart, on our experience, that we'll file at the unreasonable timing based on our experience, okay? And our colleagues as well. All right, now let me answer some questions. Thank you so much for your patience. Um, I usually stay on between 30 minutes to an hour. It's been about 15 minutes. All right. So let me see what I can get through for y'all. Please know as I go through these questions, at least on TikTok, it does hide some of the comments, questions. Please know I can see them. So you don't have to copy and paste. Okay. I try my best to go in order here. So let me hit some, answer some questions here. DA on TikTok says, "Hey John, just want to say thank you for doing these lives and sharing your knowledge." You absolutely, you know what? If it's okay, I'm gonna screenshot that. Gotta share that with my team. That that helps me out because my team is like, John, how come you can't? Can you spend more time with us training? And I'm like, yo, I gotta talk to the audience here, share some tips with y'all. So they would greatly appreciate that because it actually makes their job easier as well. Let's see, because y'all have more knowledge that you could go with. All right, so okay, user 3842. You just got DQ'd at NBC. How long will it take to get an interview? Um, it depends on the consulate embassy. Some are much longer wait time than others after you've been DQ'd, documentary qualified. And by the way, documentary qualified is only for folks, the immigrant foreign nationals outside the United States. Okay, if you're inside the United States and you're eligible for AOS, adjustment of status, there is no term or phrase called documentarily qualified. Although that would be nice, actually, if you think about it. That would be nice to say, okay, you hit this stage of DQ. We just need to set you up for an interview. That would be really nice. But the USCIS doesn't want to listen to me. I got so much information I can share with them. If someone has contacts with USCIS, can you connect me with them? I could definitely share some tips with them to make it easier for them and you. Okay. Let's see here. Let's switch over to different platforms here. Thank you so much for your patience. Donna Black on Instagram. How long does motion take after filing it? Are you referring to what kind of motion? If you're talking about motion in court, I would just say generally speaking about 30 days. I don't think the court EOIR, Executive Office of Immigration Review, has a timing deadline per se, but it seems like it's about average 30 days or sooner, especially if you have a court date sooner. But if you're talking about USCIS and you filed a motion to reconsider or reopen, and that's with the form 290B, then that can take years. It's super ridiculous, super ridiculous. You know what? We filed a 290B. I can think of a case. I think it was 2018, and it's still pending, folks. It's wild. 2018, circa 2018. That's like having to retrace back to history. And we just said, you know what? And we're trying to save the client's money, right? So with that mindset, and we're like, client, it's been 2 years. Um, most likely at this point, they lost that file for some reason. So how about as a recommendation, we refile your case, okay? Because time is money for you, all right? If you don't have your legal status, then it's going to be difficult. You may be working, and I'm not going to ask you to comment down below if you are without authorization, but you may be working under the table, okay? And you're like, well, I got a job. I am making money. Why do I need to file my case? Well, I would say hypothetically, you let me know in the comments if you already got a green card or resident status, that you could probably get a better paying job, a higher paying job, if you have legal status as a U.S. citizen or a resident. Okay. If you agree with that, tap the screen. If you're on TikTok, give me some likes on, or I don't even know how it works on Instagram, but let me know what y'all think. Is that right? Um, Let me see if I can raise this up a bit. Okay, that is a little better there. Okay. So that I don't have to look like I'm looking down on YouTube. All right, so let me see here. Okay, on YouTube, Wathk, is that if that's how I pronounce your name? I'm gonna go ahead and apologize in advance if I mispronounce your name. You said the situation your wife and you represents difficult family circumstances as there's a pregnancy, childbirth, and economic circumstances. Your wife has a green card and you're the beneficiary. Is your case considered humanitarian case that's going through difficult circumstances that require submitting expedite requests to USCIS office? Mm, well, you haven't shared enough information for me to say that. And of course, I'm not the authority with USCIS to provide you a better idea in that. But I would definitely encourage you, essentially, yeah, you can act as if you're like, if I'm the USCIS officer, I'm not pretending to be. I mean, I don't want to pretend to be someone I'm not, right? But I'm just saying, if you want to practice by sharing more information before you try to submit an expedite request, yeah, definitely share more information. But just based on what you've shared so far, that's definitely not enough. Okay. Like, what is the economic circumstance that you're suffering right now? Do you have a job? Do your spouse not have a job? And I don't want to make stuff up, but just hypothetically, maybe your wife lost her job. If the horrible company she was working at said, "Hey, you can't work anymore here anymore because you're pregnant or because of an injury," there could be a potential lawsuit in that. But aside from that, maybe she just doesn't have a job in general, and maybe it's because of pregnancy or something, and there's a pregnancy complication. I don't want to make things up. It's just hypothetical. But you said difficult circumstances related to pregnancy. I don't know what that is. But when you call USCIS, you do that little website chat, okay, with USCIS. I actually encourage that first to chat with Emma, okay, fictitious person. But I believe on the other side is truly a human. I could be wrong, but from when we've tried it, it appears to be a human. Um, Try that first because if you call in first, man, it could take you like 30 minutes. It could take a while. And not many of you have that much time, especially if you're trying to call during work. Another tip, by the way, with calling USCIS, try in the morning. I think like 7 or 8 a.m. Depends on your time zone. Okay, folks, let me switch over to that platform. Back to TikTok here. What's up? What's up? How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. I know some of y'all have joined the show before. Welcome back. I know y'all can't hang out with me every day, but I appreciate it if you can. Always happy to share information. Now let me scroll down so I can get to earlier questions. Okay, Aliyah, on TikTok, how to speed up your 601A waiver. Okay. Other than expedite request, because of certain situations, it's going to be very difficult to speed up your 601 waiver. The other option is to file a lawsuit, but we recommend if you're going to file a lawsuit based on a 601A waiver application, I recommend waiting 3 years after you file your case to USCIS. 3 years, that's 36 months. Okay. We're pretty precise. Okay. So if you're like, man, it's a 30-month mark for you, um, and you just want to find out more information, you're welcome to do that. You're still welcome to contact us. Okay. All right. Uh, our team is happy to email you a free guide based on that. So I'll tell you what, if you don't want to go through the whole form, I mean, I encourage you to go through the form and the link here, but if you don't want to do that and you just want an email, I can share with you an email. Okay. So there's a couple things you can ask for that my team can send you. And I've told my team this. If you're looking for a marriage checklist, okay, you can ask me for it. Don't be shy. We can send it to you. Okay. And type in the subject line, marriage checklist. Okay. We're trying our best to automate some things to be faster for you, but it's not always going to be perfect. Okay. Um, so type in a subject line marriage checklist. Now, if you're looking for a free guide and I've talked to you about like a free guide about this, then type in, for example, Elia or anyone else that needs a, oh, shoot. Someone's calling me. How do I send a message? Oh, this is an important phone call. I'm still here if you can hear me. Okay. I'm still on here. Okay, hopefully I can reconnect. Doesn't that suck when you're on a TikTok and you're like, bro, why am I getting calls? Okay. All right, I'm back connected here. Okay, hopefully you're back on. All right, great. Let me answer some questions here. Oh, great. So we got, we just share with y'all. We got a situation where we think there could be mold, okay, at the house. There's like little black spots. It doesn't look like anything crazy like we've seen on Google, fortunately. So, so yeah, I had to. That was the phone call. All right, so let's see some questions here. I'm gonna because we gotta make sure they show up. Thank you, Peace. You said we're doing a great job. Monica, you're welcome. Okay, let me scroll down here. Thank you so much for your question. I'm just scrolling down, trying to go in order here, so I don't intend to skip anyone. Okay, Bertha on TikTok, your I-130 is approved. You don't qualify for pardon. Your 601A. Oh, I'm assuming maybe because you don't have a spouse or U.S. spouse or parent who's a U.S. citizen or resident. But can you remove your deportation? It might be possible through the court, right, to request prosecutorial discretion. However, we want to know why you were removed from the court, by the court, by a judge in the first place. Okay, because in certain scenarios, if the judge has found you not credible, meaning they believe you lied or misrepresented something, some information, then it's going to be super difficult to get your case reopened and dismissed from the court. Okay, but that's just one legal consideration. Even if you could do get that done, or we could get that done for you, okay, which we have for many clients, but not everyone. Very, very important to share information to your legal team. All right, whether it's us or someone else. All right. But even if you could get that reopened and dismissed, are you eligible for adjustment of status in the United States? And if not, are you eligible for a waiver, 601A? And if you're not, there's no point to go through this whole thing. Okay. But if you want to set yourself up for the future, okay, and you have a removal order and you believe and you share information to the legal team, our team, and right now is probably one of the best window periods of time to get this done if you have a removal order. There is no guarantee for you, okay? The Department of Homeland Security attorneys are super slow. Some are quicker than others. Some are a little review the cases sooner than others. Some DHS offices a little bit more organized. Unfortunately, it's not across the board. Um, so let's see here. But why is the best time? The best time is because we're under President Biden's administration. I'm not trying to make quick claims to say, oh, because the president's Democrat, that this is the best time. No, it's not because of party affiliation necessarily. It's literally in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's memo. Okay, Department of Homeland Security in this situation I'm talking about are the chief legal counsel, chief legal officer of DHS. Okay, there's a memo from a few years ago that states as one of the situations to help in prosecutorial discretion, meaning the discretion of Department of Homeland Security, is to reopen your case and dismiss it or reopen and have a trial on a new information, of new facts. Okay. So I cannot predict the future, folks, okay? But there could be a scenario that we got a new president, that we got a new executive in the United States. The election is this year, November 5th or something like that. The first Tuesday of November, okay? Is it this year? Yeah, 2024. November 2024. Even though the president is elected that or the results come out that day, evening, or the next day, hopefully the next day at the latest, that new president or that president will take the oath the following January 20th. It's usually the 20th. I don't know. I remember these days. Remember these dates, but typically a couple weeks into January. So I wouldn't say you have until January 20th because between a certain amount of time and there's a new president, sometimes some policies freeze. Okay. So we're about to hit up the summer right now. If you have kids, they're pretty much in summer mode, right? They're either graduated or not graduated kindergarten, elementary school, whatever it is. Time is now to get this done. Even if you don't have a removal order, deportation order, and you're like, hmm, legal status is not a priority for me right now. I gotta save up money so I can pay for summer camp. I gotta get the new iPhone. Actually, summer camp's more important than the new iPhone or new iPad, whatever it is that came out. Okay. You gotta reprioritize. And sometimes you gotta reprioritize your immigration status because of the president. Okay. Unfortunately, politics, you got to get it done. Do not wait. Even if you're going to file yourself, it's all good. I'm just trying to help you out to get it done. Don't wait because we have new clients that are like, I've been married for 10 years. And we're like, what you been doing? All right. So maybe you weren't too sure of each other at that time. All right. Next question here. Your wife is a U.S. citizen. She filed the I-130 August 2023, and it's at the Nebraska Service Center. How long before it can get approved? So, Jahon D, I think, thank you for coming on the show again or joining back on. I know you've commented before your situation. A petition can take generally 12 months when the beneficiary of the immigrant is outside the United States. So, if I recall, I think you're outside the United States. All right, let me switch over here. Slim K on TikTok, you're a green card holder. Congratulations to you. Can you file for your husband? Absolutely, you can file for your husband. Step one, at least. Okay. Um, Now, if your husband, some extra information, social media, I have to tell you, this is legal information. This is not legal advice because you may have heard of this phrase that lawyers talk a lot. It's more so because we have a lot of information to share, advice. So the best thing to do if you're looking, at least for us, if you're seeking services for us to guide you all the way through or in the middle of your case to the final step and get that legal status for you or your spouse, family member, go to the profile page later on. Go ahead and follow right now so you don't forget. I'm sure you want to stay on, but if you go ahead and follow so you can remember after the show, you can go back to it, and underneath the profile picture is a link, zaap.bio and / something else. Click on that link, and you can click on our form and answer a few questions. I'll go to share the other process later. Okay, but to answer the question, yes, you can file for your spouse, even if you're a resident. However, please know if your spouse is in the United States, let's say overstayed scenario, do not file the 485 application, okay? Because you need to either show that you have maintained status currently throughout the time, okay? There's information out there that could trip you up, okay? Because it can be a little confusing how they phrase it. But if you're a resident holder and you're filing for your spouse, do not file the 485 application. Unless money is not a problem to you and you flush with cash, do not file the 45 because you're likely going to get denied. Okay. Because in some scenarios, they will issue mail you an RFE, request for evidence, and they will ask you for documentation on how have you maintained, show proof on how the beneficiary has maintained their status, not immigrant status. and you're not going to have it. You're not going to have it. Okay. Now, if you do, if you're here on F1 visa, any other non-immigrant visa, and it's still valid, okay, then go for it. File the 45. But the main benefit, most of the people, okay, most of y'all are likely in a scenario where you have overstayed or your spouse has overstayed their visa. And a lot of people call us, contact us, we have meetings, and they're like, bro, you shouldn't have filed the 45. Okay. So these are key critical tips here. I can't call it legal advice. These are tips to help you understand and maybe save you some money. Okay. But while you're a green card holder, resident card holder, status holder, yes, you can file a petition now, but it may be in your best interest, at least financially, to actually wait to file the 485 later after you become a citizen. Now, the key benefit of being sponsoring someone when you're a citizen is that for your beneficiary, your spouse, for example, it waives their unlawful presence. Okay. Again, safely assuming that that person has entered the US with a visa. All right. Originally or the last time. All right. So I got to stop there. There's always so much information I can share, folks, about each topic, each question. So I realized I just kept going and going. But I hope you all appreciate that. I'm going to move on to the next question. But so there are scenarios where if it's not so much like needing representation and it's more like a webinar topic, like how do I apply for a visitor visa? How do I know if I'm eligible for something like a visa or residency? We're gonna have a webinar for you. Okay, we're collecting topics, questions, and our team is gonna put together a webinar series. So if you want, it could be available soon or already on the link, ZAP link. You go all the way down. I believe there could be a form that's only about webinar. So you can enter your information there. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Nora, I think I'm going in order. I may have skipped someone on accident. Sorry. My bad. 485 got denied, but got approved after an officer called you and apologized. Does this happen? It can, but it's rare and sounds like it's actually a good thing for you that you got approved. Nora, make sure on the USCIS webpage, if this is a recent scenario, check the USCIS webpage and see if it says approved or decision mailed. And then you're going to have to eventually wait for maybe a week or two for the paper notice in the mail. Okay. Very important. Um, let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Let me go to the next channel here. Thanks so much for your questions. Abby, what happens if your daughter turns 21 before the I-130 is approved? Let's check this out. So before the I-130 is approved, so it depends on so you can't, unfortunately, cannot predict the future. And this is related to, I'm assuming your daughter or child. So if anyone else is in a situation like this, if you're wondering if you file a petition on behalf of your daughter or son, and then that child has turned 21, we cannot predict the future. We can have a decent idea, but this is related to Child Status Protection Act, the law, okay, about immigration, about capturing the time for a child to make sure that under 21, um, that their age has been frozen, is what we call it, locked in per se. All right. So even if your child is over 21, does not necessarily mean that that child is not eligible anymore. Um, but the timing to properly calculate if your child has locked in the age at under 21, okay, is when it priority date shows up on the visa bulletin. Okay. So hopefully that gives you an idea. It's very difficult. It can't do the calculation quite yet until the prior date, your prior date on the petition I-130 shows up on the visa bulletin or has gone past that timing. If you're wondering how to read the visa bulletin by the Department of State that's issued or published every month, we do at least have a video on YouTube about it. I probably need to refresh it, but there is one video on it there. Okay. Let's see. Next question here. Blue Frenchie. Blue Frenchie, you've been waiting on your interview for 1 year? So you filed at least a year ago? Okay. What do you think? What I think will happen? Well, where are you waiting? Are you waiting abroad at the embassy or consulate, or are you waiting in the US? So, so it just depends on timing when to file a lawsuit, if you need to. So let's say you're in the US and you file a 485 application, then you gotta wait at least 12 months, okay? 18 months before I file a lawsuit. All right, folks, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I gotta jump off to get to another meeting, and I'll catch you soon, okay? Follow for more. Talk to you soon.